Today I'm going to be working on taking the new parts from my kit and rebuilding any parts associated with the piston, taking off the old bearings, taking off the wrist pin, and putting a new wrist pin in. So first thing I'd like to do is take out the old bearing. This is just as straightforward as my main bearings. If you happen to watch that, they just get knocked out of the way with a hammer. Cap on the other side. This one's a little bit more wobbly. There it goes. Markings on this one are right about the same as the others. They're clevites. You can see that. These are May of '89 standards. Try and get to focus here. Sorry. There it goes. May of '89 standards. That means my particular crankshaft, it was taken out at some point in time in the 90s, and they had grinded down the main journals by 10,000ths, and then the rods were standards. So I ended up having it ground down 20,000ths across all the journals. So I'm putting in new oversized bearings across all those. Next thing I'm going to do is get set up for this wrist pin here, and be right back. So for the wrist pin, it's held by an internal snap retaining ring. There's two ears there. You place pliers onto those. I just have standard channel lock snap ring pliers. So long as I don't lose it, it should be all right. Apologies. There it goes. Cover it up so it doesn't fly away. And that's one snap ring out there. The wrist pin at that point should just push out on its own, hopefully. If not, we'll have to figure out a way to persuade it out of here. And the kit came with a new wrist pin. It's starting to come out just a little bit there. It might not come out on its own. I do have the blunt end of a screwdriver. I can start to persuade it. Yeah, it's definitely starting to come out now. a very tight tolerance just because of the job that this wrist pin does. It's very important. So close. Just a little bit more. Perfect. There's one rod out. On these rods, it is labeled so that the front, you know which way the front of the engine is. I'm going to take this this wrist pin the rest of the way out if I can. If not, I might need to just hit it a few more times here. There we go. One wrist pin out. I'm going to get the new wrist pin here and the new piston as well, and be back in a second. Back with the new piston and sleeve. When you order it from John Deere, it will come in a bag like this. The piston is already seated inside the sleeve so that technically you don't have to have like a ring compressor or anything. It is labeled on the front so that you know which way front is, and that should align with the front that I pointed out earlier on your rod. So with that being said, try and compress this down to the base. Go inside. The bottom's behind this. We're just about the end here. Just right there on the outside. That should be about all that we need to access there. So looking down, I see that this side is my front. I'd like to align this rod, the front side of this with that. So the front of the rod is this side of the engine too. So this and this side will both face this way. I have my new bushing here. And I'm going to get some grease for that bushing. Here's the grease for that bushing. I'm using just Lucas High Performance Assembly Lube here. And I thought about, the new kit came with new bushings as well, and I thought about using these new bushings, but after looking at the tolerance of this new wrist pin and the old bushing, it's pretty darn tight in here. There is not a whole lot of room for movement at all. I can't even wiggle it in there. And to be honest, I think that when you put in this new bushing like this, you have to have it honed out, and I don't have the patience, money, time for any of that right now. So I'm going to keep on moving with our assembly as is. So use some of this lubricant here. It's a very, very thick substance, but that's good. It'll allow it to get the oil pressure up, and so it doesn't damage anything. So, front side here goes to front side over there. This piece slides on in. This piston pin bushing. There it goes. Perfect. Now time for the snap rings. I have the snap ring on one side. I need to get the other snap ring off the old piston here in a minute. There's one snap ring in, hang on for the other. Here's the second snap ring. We'll get this on, and then we'll be pretty good here. That's one built piston. There's 5 more to go. Last thing to do now is put the cap back on. The new kit came with these bolts here. These are stretch bolts. They're more of a one-time use, so I'm going to use the old bolts when I set these up for the plastic gauge, but then I'm going to use these new bolts when it's all finally verified and everything is good to go back together. So I just wanted to share that quick piece, and that should be it for this project.